All right, what's going on? How are you guys doing? Just getting set up here in Chicago. Little change of plans. I'll be right back, Google. This is my view right now of the downtown. As you can see, I don't know if you guys can make this out, but the blizzard is moving in here in Chicago. You can see it's a flurry coming in. So we're supposed to do 3 shows today as part of the YFYI book tour, but the schools that we were going to, they're closing for the day. So we're going to be live streaming over the next couple of hours. I'm going to be taking you through some of the lessons from YFYI, the book, your first year in. The beauty industry, how to not just survive but thrive. If you're not in the beauty industry, I'm going to advise you to stay tuned because your first year in really any industry, you're going to need these essential business building tools. But yeah, we got a blizzard going on. As you can see right behind me, blizzard is going on. Blizzard is going on. So I'm going to step in here. So I'm doing the live stream. We're doing this via Google Plus. So we got a Hangout happening. And also we have the Periscope happening, which you guys are on the Periscope. So if you're on Periscope, welcome. If you're on Google Plus, on the Google Hangout, welcome. But yeah, we have a blizzard going on. So that's what's happening here. Blizzard conditions, blizzard weather. So we're working on trying to let me get this straight. Oh, thanks. But we have some blizzard conditions happening in Chicago. So we're supposed to be doing 2 shows today, but because of the weather, because of the blizzard conditions, we're coming to you live from the Mile North Mag Hotel. So that's what's happening here today. And I'm just trying to get my Periscope set up. It's acting up a little bit here. So we just got this new mic stand last night. So working on that. All right, let's see. So how's everybody doing? You guys doing good? Ready to jump into the YFYI? Your first year in. How to not just survive, but thrive in the business of beauty. That's what YFY is all about. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. I don't know why this thing's not staying up here. Let's see what we got. All right, let's see. Try to get this thing situated here. Thing keeps on wanting to go down. All right, we'll fix it. Figure it out. So we've got, let's see. All right. See what we can do here. Trying to get this thing situated here. This little arm, it keeps on. Phone is heavy. There we go. There we go. All right, so how's everybody doing? So yeah, we have blizzard-like conditions happening over here in Chicago, and we're supposed to be at one of our schools right now. But because of the weather conditions, because of these blizzard-like conditions, they had to close. So we said, you know what? We're going to come on and we're going to do a little scope, talk to you guys about YFYI, and we'll make it work. So I'm going to be taking questions. We're going to be hanging out for the next couple of hours. I'm working on just getting my tripod tightened up, so sorry it's moving all over the place. Hey, we got Victoria in the house. How you doing? Where you from? So if you're coming in, just getting in, you know, announce yourself, where you're from, why you're here. Tell you why I'm here. I'm here to help people that are just getting started. And as a business owner, you know, I focus on building career paths and helping people navigate career paths. And that's kind of like my specialty right now. And, you know, we're here in Chicago. I'm coming from Tampa, but why am I here in Chicago? Well, it's pretty simple. I came here as part of a book tour to come in, work with, from Russia. What's going on, Russia? How's it going? So I'm here as part of a book tour that I'm doing, going around to all of our Paul Mitchell schools here in America. And I'm sharing the message of YFYI, your first year in the beauty industry, how to not just survive, but thrive in the business of beauty. But when you really think about it, as I'm going through and I'm working through the material, you'll find that this material really can apply to anyone. It's not just going to be first years in the beauty industry. It's going to be first years in anything, because the things that I'm going to be talking about here today are going to be things like networking, like building your brand, like positioning yourself. So those kind of things are going to be important in any industry, not just the beauty industry. And then I wrote this book, and the reason that I wrote the book was really to give people tools that they could use as they navigate through their first 12 to 18 months of their career. Sorry that the camera's moving a whole bunch. I got this new, stopped at the store last night and picked up this new little tripod here, but it's having a little situation trying to get it locked in. See what's going on here. Let me work on getting this thing tightened up. So I know it's annoying. That's the first thing I know. It is a little bit annoying as it's moving around. But as we're going through the material, that's something that you'll find out about. So if you guys are not from or in the beauty industry, I think I got it. I just had to tighten it up. Yeah, it looks like it's stable. Stable. Condition stable now. So
we have to move.
All right, cool. Well, we'll do that after I'm done. All right, I got it. It's stable. Cool. So Russia, is it snowing in Russia? Right now, we're having a blizzard, so it's probably nothing to you. You guys probably don't even stop moving at all in Russia, but over here in America, you know, we treat it a little bit differently. So the news went out this morning. The school started closing. So we're sitting here, we're thinking, I mean, we're from Florida, so we're kind of far from home, and I didn't want to cancel the idea and the movement behind the trip. So we just decided to shift and pivot. And that's something that you're going to learn too. And as I talk about some of the information that is in the book, that's something that you're going to learn. You might have to shift and you might have to pivot from time to time. Things are not always going to go, you know, how you plan them to go. So appreciate you guys for being here. We got Periscope going on over here. We've got Google Plus Live Hangout over here. I'm going to be sharing the links through Facebook, and I'm going to be taking questions. And the questions, I can take them any which way you want to get them to me. If you want to come through Periscope and ask a question here, you want to ask a question on Facebook, I'll be on there in just a second. You want to ask a question in the Google Plus Hangout, I've enabled you to be able to ask questions there. So I showed you the view now. It's actually getting pretty thick. I'll show you what it looks like again in a minute as the snow is picking up. But I would just like to welcome you guys first and foremost. And now that I got our camera stabilized, I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Sunny D. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a hairstylist, salon owner, and a trainer, educator, and now recently the author of YFYI, which is your first year in the beauty industry, how to not just survive, but thrive in the business of beauty. And that's kind of my focus. But as I go through the program, you're going to learn no matter what industry you're in, these are going to be some essential tools that you're going to need to be able to thrive. Because a lot of people that are coming into industries, what's happening is they're not thriving. They're just surviving. They're just getting by. They're struggling, to be quite honest. They're struggling. And as I started to write this book, why did I decide to write YFYI? Why did I decide, like, I don't have enough things to do already, to add this to the plate, to add, going through the time it takes to put together a book, which is not easy. I'll tell you right now, it's not easy. But I had the content, I had the information. I knew what I was trying to do. I knew the direction I wanted to take. I knew the problem was big enough that there was a deep need to want to do it. And that's what really pushed me and gave me the discipline to sit down and over the course of a year, work on getting this content to you and getting it together. And so now where we're at, we have the content, we've produced the book, it's available. If you guys are on the internet, you can just go to yourfirstyearin.com where you can get your copy of the book. Because really what it is it's not just I'm going to read this one time and be done with it. What it is it's a working tool. It's a working book. It's a utility that you're going to use time and time again. And as you're using this utility, you're studying the material, you're going to be able to put it into practice. And that's the big thing, putting it into practice. Putting it into practice in your business, putting it into practice in your community, in your company, wherever you're at, in your career, putting it into practice. That's one of the big things I want you to get out of this. So as you're thinking about it, I'm going to go over some of the topics, and I have a presentation. If you're on the Google Plus, I'm going to be sharing the slides. I have a few slides that I'm going to share, so I'll go in between the slides. If you're on Periscope, I'll be just delivering the information, and if you have questions, you can put your questions in there, and I'll be going back and forth between the two cameras we have set up and answering your questions and getting to your comments and things like that. If you're on Facebook and you want to just go on the Facebook and ask questions on there, you can do that as well. And you just look for me on Facebook. My Facebook page is Sunny D, Sunny, SONNY D. And also my profile page, you can find me on there. It's Sunny D. It's SONNYDEE. So I'm going to be going back and forth between the Facebook and the Instagram as well. I'll be looking at all of the areas to get questions, to get comments, and to interact with you guys. So, we're looking at the first 18 months. We're talking about that first 18 months. So whatever your career is, whatever you decided that you wanted to do for a career, whatever you decided, when you decided you wanted to start a career in whatever industry you're in, if you're in the beauty industry, you had a moment. You had a moment when you just knew, like, you were like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this, and I want to create this career. I want to build a business. I want to be a part of this industry. And you had that moment. So what happens from the time when you have that moment and to the time, like in our industry, as we start to see and we track people from day one when they started to day 365. What happens between day one and 365 to that person, to that individual? What happens to that, oh, this is what I want to do. This is the industry that I want to be in. What happens to that person? Because as we start to track and we're paying attention, we're seeing that a lot of people, they're shifting, they're, either not satisfied. When we track them down, they're struggling, they're barely making it by, and they're not quite where they thought they would be at that point. So what happens? Why does that happen? And why is it, if it's happening to you, maybe it hasn't happened to you, but if it's happening to you, why is that happening to you? And so that's something that we want to talk about, and that's something that I want to address. And as I come into different schools and I travel and I do these presentations, that's something that, I'm asking, why is that happening to people? For myself, I'll share, a little bit about my story for those of you guys who know me or may not know me. Maybe this is your first time interacting or being introduced to myself. I'll share a little bit about my story. I started out pretty much like most people. I had a household, and as I was growing up, I had trials and tribulations, and I had instances where I felt like either I was an outcast in certain situations. I came from a split home, so my mother and my father, they weren't together. So I felt kind of like I was an outcast. I had an older brother or a younger brother, older sister. And really, as I was growing up, I was like looking for, like, what am I going to do? How am I going to get out of the situation? How am I going to, escape, if you will, escape from the situation that I was in? And as I was growing up, I was constantly just wondering. I was in a bit of a state of like fear, not knowing if I was going to make it, what I was going to do with my life, where I was going to go. And by the time I became 18, one of the surefire ways to get out was for me to join the military. And that's the route that I took. So 18, I joined the Marine Corps. I'm enlisted. I'm doing my thing for a few years in the Marines. But I always had this, this brain in my head that would think of things. How could I do this? Or how could I do that, and creatively thinking about ways to do things. And that's something that's not really favored upon. In the military, it's like, this is what you do, this is what you say, this is what you wear, this is when you wake up, this is when you go to sleep. That's how it is in the military. So for you to be thinking and have progressive thoughts and try new things, it's not really welcome. It's not really welcome because they have a system, they have a way of doing things, and that's the way that it is. So after doing that for several years, I realized, I'm not really into taking orders. I'm not really into doing that. And after I leave the Marine Corps, now I'm kind of waiting and hoping and waiting and hoping. And I didn't know what direction my life was going to take at that point. But I always had that kind of problem solver, mentality. Even, when I was a kid, I remember being in middle school, and while I was in middle school, I'm in my classes, and I came into a big shipment or a big load, if you will, of cigarettes. And with those cigarettes, what I decided to do, because when you're in middle school, that's when everybody's like, oh, it's cool. I'm smoking cigarettes and I'm cool. So that's what everybody decides, that they want to do. They want to, smoke a cigarette, and they want to, try to be like cool, like a cool kid. So that's what's happening. I see the situation, I'm like, well, everybody's smoking cigarettes, and I know how powerful cigarettes are. If I think back, when I was 15, my mom actually, she passed away from cancer, from lung cancer, from smoking cigarettes. And the crazy part about it is that even after she had a major surgery, had a lung removed, she continued to smoke. Now, for somebody to continue to smoke after you losing one lung because of smoking, and then you continue to do it, you're talking, this is something that's powerful. This is really powerful stuff. And so the irony is, I despise cigarettes so much, but I knew the power of the cigarettes. And I knew that like there was I guess you could call it a market opportunity. So I come into this big shipment of cigarettes, and I'm in my classes, and I had a notebook. And what I would do is I would cut the top of the cartons, and I would tape the top of the cartons inside the inner flap of the notebook. So I'd have, Marlboro, Newport, whatever other brands, they will all be in there. And then I would pass that notebook around class, and people would, write down their orders and put in their money. So I'm cleaning up. So every period I'm in there, and instead of, taking notes and doing my work, I'm passing around my notebook, collecting money, getting orders and putting the orders together and then giving them to the students, after class, in between classes. So I'm making money. So I'm like, all right, cool. That's something that I could do. And it was something that I always had like, I guess you'd say a little knack for, being able to create money, being able to create revenue, seeing opportunities, seeing market opportunities. So fast forward a little bit, I finished school, and then I really had no ambition to stay at home. Like I said, I came from a split home. My mom had already died when I was 15. My stepfather, didn't get along with him at all, really. And my sister was already gone, my older sister. So I'm like, you know what? I'm out of here. Join the Marines, do the Marines. After my time in the Marine Corps, get out, because I'm not taking orders. I'm not into that. So now I find myself in a position where I don't really have any skills that I could take from the Marine Corps and bring those into the regular society, into the civilian world. So I'm like, well, what do I know how to do? I know how to hustle. I know how to make money. And so then I've always been, like, I guess you could say, a visionary. And so as a visionary, seeing those market opportunities again, seeing a market opportunity and taking advantage of a market opportunity. And so before Colorado decided that it was going to be, they were going to legalize, marijuana, I already saw the market opportunity, because that was another thing that was like crazy addictive. Everybody was doing it. And through a network of people, I found myself in the business, of distribution, and got into the business of basically being an entrepreneur, but not selling the regular tobacco, selling the wacky tobacco. And after doing that, again, building a business, built it up. And when I was in school, we're talking about peddling cigarettes, we're maybe talking, in the thousands of dollars. Now in this game, we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. So hundreds of thousands of dollars are rolling in, but my business is totally, illegitimate. And it was only a matter of time, before I got caught. And I got caught. I got sent away. After almost 4 years, I found myself, 25 years old, just getting out of prison, sitting, in a halfway house, like, what's going on with my life? What am I going to do? And I got a job in a restaurant, and this is where a magic moment for me happened, working in this restaurant, working as a dishwasher, working from dishwashing all the way up to becoming, the head bartender, working behind the bar when a group of people come in one day, and they're wearing all black, looking really cool, like a rock band. And they're like, yeah, we're in town, we're doing a hair show. And at the time, after the military, having shaved my head for so many years, at the time, I'm like, you know what, I'm going to go fro all day, never get a haircut again. So my hair's out to here, and these guys see me, and they're like, yeah, what are you doing tomorrow? We're doing a hair show. We need some more male models in our set. They recruit me to go do a hair show. All of a sudden, I end up, in a model situation where I'm not a model by any means, but I end up in this situation where I'm around all these people, and I'm looking around, and I'm like, wow, this is kind of interesting. I'm looking, everyone's got these like stupid looks on their face. We're all standing there, and the artists come in. And the artists, they're dressed, just outrageous. I see these people come in, and they're talking to the models, and they're looking, they're slicing and dicing up the room, and then they push everybody out. I thought I was going to leave, and they're like, no, you're in. We already pre-selected you. We already have a spot for you to be in. So I'm in this model call. I'm in this hair show now for this weekend. And throughout the weekend, my mind is getting blown because I'm with the head guy. And the head guy is talking about how, he started, came to America with like $35 in his pocket. He started a salon, $25 haircuts in San Diego, 4 chairs. Nobody wanted to work for him. And he's like, today, as he was standing there doing his presentation, he's on, he's like, I'm doing $300 haircuts. All these people, they work with me, and we travel and we inspire, educate, we motivate, we teach people how to grow their business. And that's what he's doing. And I'm like, man, I got to do that. I want to do that. This is what I'm going to do. So that's what you could say is like one of those like light bulb moments. And literally I saw my future project right in front of my face. I said, this is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be working with this guy, learning what he's doing, and eventually taking his job, doing what he does. So that's where I had that moment, and I was like, I didn't know how to do it. So I started talking to the guy all weekend. I had that one weekend. I talked to him in between every single show, everywhere I went. I was like his shadow. I was all over him like white on rice. I mean, I was literally like in his face asking him questions like, how do you, what company do you work with? He's like, I work with Paul, it's Paul. I'm like, so like, how does it work? You get to do what you do. Like, how did you, start the salon? And how did you like build it to what it is? And I'm asking him all these questions. And finally, he's just frustrated. And he's at the point where he's just like, listen, if you want to know so bad, why don't you go to hair school? So I'm like, what do you mean go to hair school? He's like, go to hair school, and then you can get in the industry. I'm like, oh, so he recommended I go to a Paul Mitchell school. And at the time, there's only there's like 3 schools around the country. So California, Rhode Island, and down in Florida. And so he asked me what I do. I told him, I'm a server. I work in, the restaurant biz. I'm a bartender right now. And he's like, well, then go to Florida. He's like, you'll get a job. There's plenty of service industry jobs there. It's like pretty much the whole city. And at that moment, I just took his advice, and I was like, that's what I'm going to do. So I go back to my job, and I tell the ladies that I'm working with, I'm like, listen, I met this guy. He told me to go to this Paul Mitchell hair school. This is what I want to do with the rest of my life. I don't even know like where exactly it is, but he was telling me that this is the way to go. And, I was telling him about, how he looked and how he dressed. He's wearing a kilt. He's talking about doing all these haircuts, and they're looking at me like, what are you on? Or like, what's wrong with you? Like, sit down. Let's talk about this. But I told them, I was like, no, this is definitely what I want to do. And I started saving money from that day, and they were 100% behind me until I actually launched, left North Carolina, where I was at the time, moved to Florida, sight unseen, walked through into the school, sign up, can't even afford it, sign up, and I'm like ready to roll. I show up on the first day. And the funny thing is, when I show up, only thing I knew was when I walked through and I did the tour, like everybody's wearing black, so I just showed up in all black. And I go in, and they bring me to the financial aid office. They sit me down, and then she starts throwing numbers around. And I'm looking at her, and she's looking at me, and I'm like, whoa. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. So we're talking like, how much? And so she drops a number. She's like, yeah, it's like 15,000. I'm like, 15,000? I'm like, my entire net worth at that point was not even worth 15,000. Like if you had consolidated everything I owned and had in my life at that point, I couldn't even sell it all and, come back in naked and have 15,000 cash. I couldn't even come up with that. So I couldn't get my head around it. And as I'm sitting there and I'm listening to everything that she's saying, a lady walks in, grabs me by the hand, and takes me out of the room. And now she's walking me down the hall, and she puts me in this group of these other people. And now I'm in this group of these people, and we all have this like stupid look on our face. And we're like looking, I'm like, I don't know like what's going on. I don't even know like what I'm doing here. And they're looking kind of silly too. Like they don't know what's going on. And as we're all looking at each other, we walk into a room, and it turns out it's a dark room, and everyone's clapping and throwing confetti and doing poppers and all this stuff. And it turns out it's the first day of what we call core, of me going in, to the first day of class. And so I'm in there literally for a whole week before it's even discovered. I hadn't even signed a contract yet. And finally they bring me back. They bring me into the guest artist, and they're like, yeah, we need you to, sign here. And here's the thing. When they told me how much, there was no way in my mind I couldn't afford it. But something happened when they put the paper in front of me. Everything in my mind said, absolutely not. You cannot afford it. Absolutely not. This isn't going to happen. But something else inside of me in my heart said, you know what? You got to do this. Just say yes. You got to do it. Put your name on the paper. You don't know how it's going to work. You don't know if it's going to work, but you need to do it. Just say yes and you'll figure it out. And that's what I did. And that was literally, that was the start to my career. And now I'm in school, I'm getting the training, I'm scared to death still. I don't know what I'm doing. And probably I would say 80% of the time as I'm going through the training, I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I had cut hair. I started cutting my own hair when I was 10, 11 years old. I cut my friend's hair. I cut hair in the military. I cut hair when I was locked up. I was the prison barber. I cut hair, barber, really, that's about it, cutting guys' hair. So now I'm in this school and I have no clue. And this is supposed to be my career. I just left a job in North Carolina where I was making good money as a bartender on advice from basically a complete stranger, moved all the way to Florida, put my name on a contract for something I couldn't afford. The contract for the schooling was more than my net worth was. And here I am in the situation wondering, like, wow, I screwed up. I made a huge mistake. And as I was in the process of going through school, I knew I had kind of overcommitted myself, but I kept on going, and I had some great instructors along the way that kept on pushing me, and they weren't letting me quit, so that was kind of my start. And now I'm in school and I'm going through this process, and it was nerve-wracking, to think like you got yourself in this position. But I knew deep down inside I still had that feeling, and I had that target. And something that I'd like to share with you guys as you're thinking about it, what is the target? Like, what is, if you cut away all of the things that are kind of surrounding you, which we'll call like white noise. If you cut away all the white noise, what is the target? What is the target that you ultimately want to hit? And I knew I had that vision in my head. I saw myself teaching and educating and training and building a business and traveling. I saw that vision, and I knew ultimately that was what I wanted to do. That was the target, the ultimate target. But how do you stay focused? And, in YFYI, what I start with, and one of the chapters, I'm going to give you guys an overview of some of the chapters. But what I start with in YFYI is the why. And it's why is this industry for you? Now, when you think about what it is that you're doing or the direct, you have to think about, like, why is this for you? Because if you don't have a compelling why, if you really don't know, and you're just like, well, I'll try this out. I'm going to try it on for size. I'm going to see what happens. The first sign of danger, the first failure that you have, the first little bit of struggle, or the first little bit of resistance that you get, guess what's going to happen? You're going to abandon quick. You're going to quit. You're going to abandon it. You're going to ditch it. You're going to quit, and you're going to move on into something else. So I want you to be thinking about that. And that's one of the things that you have to really get clear on. Like, what is your why? And I don't know. I mean, I don't know what your why might be. Maybe it's for you. Maybe you have kids that you're trying to set an example for, that you're trying to provide for. Maybe you have, it's your family in general. Maybe it's you're trying to prove something to somebody beyond even yourself. But you have to discover what your why is and your target. So if it's just graduating school, if it's just getting through that part of the journey, you have to then take that why and take the target, which in that case would be graduating school, and you have that target to the why. You have to anchor it. Because if you don't have that solid anchor and you don't have that solidified what the why is, it's going to be easy for you to quit. It's going to be easy for you to give up. And I'll tell you right now, not only will that first part of your career path, which you're getting your training, you're learning about the craft, be hard, it's going to be brutal. And, you know, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but the second part, when you actually start putting it into practice, the second part isn't any better. It's actually harder, believe it or not. Now, when you think about it, so you're like, well, I'm going to go through school, get this training, learn about my craft, learn about the industry, and then that's going to be a hard part. And then the next part after that, when I actually start doing the craft and I start experiencing the industry, that's actually going to be harder. I'm telling you, yes, it is. Yes, it is. And that's the truth that you need to know. And that's why so many people quit. I mean, and you look across, and it's not just in the beauty industries in general. Think about people that you may know. Think about people that may have gone to school for X, and then you found out 4 years later they got a degree in X, and they're doing Y. So it's not just in our industry, it's in industries across the board that people are not sticking with what it is they went to school for. Why is that? Why do you think that is? Because they didn't have a compelling why. And I started this book, that's the first thing that I wanted to address. I wanted to address the why. Address the why. Sure, that's gonna be huge for you. Trying to learn how to style women's hair, it was a disaster for me. I mean, I remember literally I got the brush, you know, the round brush caught in one of my classmates' hair, and she almost had to take it home with her because it was so tangled. It was a mess. And I'm like, man, I suck at that. When it came to haircutting, my first haircut was a complete disaster. You know, I had this young lady, she came in, I was so excited, first haircut, complete disaster. Didn't even get to finish the haircut because I cut myself so bad I had to like abandon my guest. Complete disaster. How many times did I want to quit? I thought about quitting pretty much on a daily basis. I thought I had made a mistake on a daily basis. I thought about wanting to quit on a daily basis because I felt I had no clue what I was. The thing is, I made that why, like what I wanted to accomplish, like getting to the end result, I made it so real. I visualized it so much. I saw myself doing it. I was like, there's got to be a way. I've got to keep doing this, and I've got to see if I can do it. Because it would have been easy to quit. Could have quit, went back to whatever I was doing, went back to bartending, went into a whole nother field or a whole nother area. That would have been easy to do, but I'm like, I got to keep doing this to see if I can do it. And so that's what I want you to be thinking about. You know, the first thing is thinking about what is the why? Why are you doing this? Why did you go sign up for that school? Why did you enroll in that program? What is your why? And once you start getting into the meat of that why, then you can anchor it to the end result. What do you want to accomplish? So I'm going to share a couple of slides. So if you guys are on Google Plus on the Hangout, you'll be able to see these slides. If you're not on the Hangout and you're on Periscope, thank you guys for being here. You won't necessarily be able to see the slides, but I'm going to still be narrating, you know, what's on the slides. If you want to hop over to the Google Plus, you can do that easily. There's a link on my Facebook page. Just go to Sonny, SONNYD, as in dog, and you'll see a link on my Facebook page Also on my profile page, you can go to Sonny, SONNYDEE, and you'll see a post with the link in the post on my profile page. So either way, you can go on either of those and you'll be able to get a link to the Google Plus Hangout. So you can come on and check that out. So the first thing that we're talking about is the why. So now you're identifying, what the why is. You're identifying and anchoring your why to the target of what you want to accomplish. And as we move through here, I'm going to share your first year in. You'll see that's the first chapter. And the reason I made that the first chapter is because it's the most important. Because if you don't know this, whatever it is you're doing, this school, this industry, you're not 100% sold, you're not 100% convicted on it, you're going to give up, and you're going to give up pretty easily. It won't take much to rattle you. It won't take much to get you to want to quit. And then we're going to talk a little bit about resumes, portfolios, and other waste of time. And whenever I talk about that or I share the title, of that chapter, people, they freak out because it's like, oh, resumes, portfolios, and other waste of time. What are you talking about? I've been, working on this resume. I've been working on my portfolio. What do you mean it's a waste of time? And I'll explain it to you. I'll explain to you what I mean. I mean that the traditional approach has been a complete waste of time. Also, I touch on in the book, interviews. It's not love at first sight. You have to learn how to interview versus being interviewed. You have to learn how to become the interviewer versus the interviewee. The next chapter, I talk about show me the money, numbers don't lie. You're going to need to know certain numbers if you're going to be successful building your business. So if you're a hairstylist, you need to get over the fact that you're just an artist because you're also a business owner. You're also a small business, and you need to be able to learn the key numbers, and that's what I'm going to talk about with the show me the money. Hustle muscle, what's your DNA? When you think about DNA, you're like, well, this is how I was born. Well, I'll tell you right now, some people, their DNA, they're lazy, but they want more, so they have to become more. There's just no way around it. So you need to affect your DNA and affect your muscle. You can work that muscle out. If your stomach is soft and it's flabby and you want a six-pack, your DNA needs to change, meaning your approach, your hustle. If you're doing sit-ups, are you watching what you eat? And you can develop that muscle, those muscles into a six-pack. So we're going to talk about what real hustling looks like. Not like you think you're doing something, you think you're hustling, but you're really not. And that's what I talk about in that chapter. The next chapter is called Networking Do or Die. So in that chapter, I talk about introducing yourself. A lot of people, it's known that the number one fear of people is public speaking. And the second is death by fire. So that's, public speaking and then death by fire. If you think about that, that's what people are talking about. So that's a big one. So the networking, how to talk to somebody, how to pitch yourself, how to have a 30-second commercial to be able to introduce yourself. You're going to have to do that in any business, especially the beauty business. It's a people business. You got to connect with people. And a lot of people are afraid. So I'm going to give you tools to help you get over that fear. The next chapter is goals. Set them, but don't forget them. So in that chapter, I'm going to give you a simple formula, how to set goals and achieve them, how to really have a game plan, a step-by-step, how to set goals. Because everybody has goals. Like if you're watching this right now, this video, this stream, then that's one of your goals. You want to watch a stream. So you're here, you're watching. Everybody has goals. Remember that. But most people just don't set them because they just never been taught how to set them. But everybody has goals. They want to, do things with their finances. They want to improve their physical health. They want to do this and that. So everybody has goals. So I'm going to walk you through how to set them. The next chapter is called Mentors versus Coaches, why you need them both. A mentor might be something that you aspire to be. Like you see the person, they did this and they did that, and you're like, oh, I really want to do that. But a coach is going to help create the action plan. A coach is going to be the person to get on your ass and be like, run, run, another drop down. The coach is going to be the person that's going to get behind you and with the action help you achieve. So that's where the coach comes in versus the mentor. They might have achieved things that you're interested in achieving and you admire, but they're not necessarily going to give you the action plan. You may not have access to them. A coach you'll have more access to. A mentor, a lot of my mentors are deceased. They're gone. People like Steve Jobs, Jim Rohn, they're not even around anymore. Martin Luther King. But a coach is people that you'll have more access to that can give you the action plan. The next chapter is called Location, 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 Why Bouncing Around Will Ruin Your Career. You know, there's a motto that I like to share with people. It's called stick and stay is bound to pay. You start bouncing around from salon to salon or company to company to company, you lose in the long run. That's not a winning formula. Because all you're doing is you're building this track record of a person that's non-committal, a person that, you know, is not a stick and stay type of person, a person that cannot, you know, follow through with a commitment. And that's not the kind of person that's going to be very attractive or hireable in the marketplace. And the last chapter is what if you do make it? Because then you start to get into, well, what's next? Because you don't want it to be Groundhog Day. That chapter about salon ownership, about your future plans and the different routes and avenues that you might be interested in taking as you develop your career and you keep solidifying your career and you keep your base and your foundation built. And the idea, you know, behind this book is for it to act as a GPS for that first 12 to 18 months of your career and beyond. I have people right now on this program that have, you know, decades of experience, but they haven't necessarily made it yet. They're not happy with where they are. They're not happy with their financial situation. And because they're not happy, they're doing this program and they're having to build it again. And that'll happen to a lot of people. If you don't learn to build it right once, you're going to have to build it again. And you don't want to be rebuilding your business. Think about this. If you had a house and you built that house right once, you know, you'd live there forever. But what if you cut a bunch of corners and you tried to do it on the cheap and you used products and used tools and you used manufacturing processes that was all undercutting the quality of the house? And then your house every couple of years was falling apart and you're having to rebuild it in the long run. What kind of house do you think you would have? You wouldn't have a house. You definitely wouldn't have a home. The first rainfall, now your ceiling's coming in. God forbid if you have a snowfall like we have going on here in Chicago today. I mean, your entire infrastructure is built on faulty ground. And so you're doomed. You're doomed from the start. You know, so when you think about building it right once, these are the kind of tools I want to empower you with that you can go in. You can not only find the right position, you can get the right job, you can grow the career that you want, and you can continue to add to it. So this is where the foundation comes in. And people that I have out there that are 10, 15 years in that are on this program, now they're like, man, where was this? And I tell people, you know, who I wrote this for really is me. I wrote this for me, you know, when I was in school, because the business building tools that are in here are the tools that I needed when I came out. You know, when I came out of school, I worked in a great salon, you know, incredible artistry happening around me, learning the craft. But it's the business building skills and the business building tools that I desperately needed to build my career that just weren't readily available. And that is really a big motivator for me to write this, because I know that there's thousands of, you know, first year graduates out there that are struggling, and I talk to them as I travel around. So to be able to give them business building skills and tools, that's going to be a big thing. You know, so we talk about the why. So why are you doing what you're doing? The next question you're going to need to be able to answer and ask yourself honestly is what? And I'm going to give you a few questions. I call them 5 questions to ponder when it comes to what? What do I want to do? You answer. That's a question to ponder. So you can write these down. If you're on the Google Plus Hangout, I'm going to share the screen and you can screenshot it. You can always come back and watch the replay later as well. So the first question is, what do I want to do? What do I want to do? Second question is, what do I want? What do I want to be? I'm going to do a little on-the-spot typo correction here because I got a little typo. What do I want to be? That's the second question. Third question is, what do I want to see? Think about it. Where do I want to go? What places, what things do I want to see as I'm building my career and I'm living my life? The next question is, what do I want to have? So this could be, you want to create a nonprofit, you want to have a 60-foot, 100-foot mega yacht, whatever that is. What do I want to see? The next question is, what do I want to have? What do I want to have? And the next question is, where do I want to go? So where do I want to go? So think about that. Where do you want to go? So those are what I call questions to ponder. And those questions are going to get you thinking as you're building your game plan. And a lot of this, you could be out there doing it, but you might need to come back and revisit this. Because like I said, I have a lot of people that are, 10 years, 15 years in, and they're coming back and they're using the information in this book and they're like starting over. And in essence, they're starting over. But I tell them, and I'll tell you, you learn to build it right once or else you're going to have to build it again. So that's what I call 5 questions to ponder. So as we're moving through some of this information, again, if you're on Periscope, thanks for being here. Make sure you're tapping your screen, hearting it up. And if you're just joining us, if you're wondering where you're at, what's going on, this actually is a presentation that I'm here in Chicago to do for some of our Paul Mitchell schools. We have 5 schools throughout Illinois. Unfortunately, today we woke up and a blizzard is moving in. So some of the schools have had to close. So I'm thinking, well, how are we going to get the message out there? So we set up shop here in our hotel room, and we're doing this we have a Google Hangout going on. So if you hop on my Facebook page, if you want to get on the Google Hangout, you can watch the stream live on there. And my Facebook is Sonny D. It's SONNY, D as in dog, or SONNYDEE. And on Periscope, obviously, if you're on Periscope, then you don't need to know how to follow me on Periscope because you're already on Periscope. So yeah, so we're doing this live stream. And I'm just going over some of the information because we're getting snowed in here. There's a blizzard moving through. And while that might be happening outside, there's still a fire going on inside. So we're not going to let a little blizzard stop us. So we're talking about YFYI, your first in the beauty industry, how to not just survive, but thrive in the business of beauty. Excuse me. And for some of you guys, maybe you're not in the beauty industry. So if you're on the Periscope and you're like, well, I'm not even in the beauty industry, I want you to stay tuned because as we're talking about, this isn't just applicable to the beauty industry. In every industry, we need to look into things like, how do you network with people? How do you hand out a business card? Do you just give it to somebody, or you're just like, here you go, thank you, and just walk away? What's your pitch? So I'm going to take you through a couple exercises here. And one of them I want you to think about, one of my favorite chapters. I'm going to give you a couple insights into some of my favorite chapters. So one is the resume, portfolios, and other waste of time. Now that one, it's controversial when you hear the title of the chapter, but I'll tell you that it does sound controversial, but it is a reoccurring dilemma that I see for a lot of people because they're not getting noticed. They're not getting really acknowledged because they're walking in to the salon or to the interview. They're walking in with the same tired looking resume as everybody else. And they're handing it out. And I know what happens. I understand. I get it. You know, we teach in the school, or your instructors, wherever you learn how to put together a resume, they taught you, okay, here's what you need to do. And you created a resume, maybe you even use like a template. And it just unfortunately looks the same as every other resume that's out there. It looks exactly the same. So when you bring it to somebody and you turn it in, how is that going to stand out? It's not. It's not going to stand out. And I'll be the first to tell you, honestly, I don't know if many people honestly answer this, but I'll be the first to tell you that I, as a business owner, as a person who hires people, who has to fire people, as a business owner, I have never read anyone's resume. And I even told that to like my staff, and they're like, oh my goodness, you didn't read my resume? Like, because people spend time on those. They spend a lot of time on them, putting them together, and all that stuff is very nice. But here's the thing. What is on a traditional resume? Your name, your email, your phone number, right? Probably some kind of objective. Let me guess. You want to get a job. That's your objective. And then, you went to school. You got the degree or the license that qualifies you, but everything else is all what I call rear view mirror perspective. So if you're driving down the car, you got these two windows, you got one big windshield in front of you, and then you got the little rear view mirror. Which one are you going to be paying attention to? You're not going to be paying attention to the rear view mirror the whole time, or else you're going to end up in a lot of accidents. You're going to be paying attention to the windshield because that's where you're going. So as a business owner, when people come in the salon, they hand me a rear view mirror perspective. I mean, it's super excited, and it's great that when you were, 15 or 16 or 17 or 18, however old, that you were, working as a barista at a Starbucks, or you were a shift leader at a pet store, whatever. That's all great. But as a business owner, what am I betting on? I'm betting on the future you, not the past you. Because if I put my resume, I was incarcerated for several years and I was this and I was that, I wouldn't be getting hired. But what can you bring to the company to move the company forward? So I want you to think about that. So whatever city you're in, whatever industry really you're in, I want you to think about how can I create a resume and or a portfolio that shows a windshield perspective. So here's how I would do it. And these are some of the things that I go over in the book. I would find the salon or salons that I was interested in working in. I would go on their Instagram. I would go on their website. And I would investigate thoroughly. And in every situation, investigate thoroughly. Can I speak French? Somebody asked me on Periscope. No, parlez-vous français? I wish I could say oui, oui, but I'm still working on that. I actually was at a training this weekend with a group of business owners from Canada, and they spoke English and French. It was pretty cool, but I didn't pick up much. That's probably all I know. But what I would do if I'm trying to get a job at a company or a position at a company, I would go on their website. I would go on their Instagram, and I use Instagram especially for my industry, the beauty industry. I would go on, I would do research. I would find out the key players in the company. I would look at their Instagrams. I would look at the company's Instagram. And I would either find something that I could fill, a niche that I maybe have, a skill set that I could bring to the table that they're not offering, or something that they're really proficient in that I am as well, that I can enhance and add to that they're offering. I would find one or two of those things. And then I would create a presentation. You can call it a presentation, a resume, portfolio of pictures of me doing the work, or pictures of work that I did that best represents that work, pictures of the direction that we're going to take those looks. How am I going to enhance the company's overall portfolio? I would put together a presentation just on that. So for example, say you are really, really good at men's cutting. Maybe you're barbering or you're men's hair styling, and that's really what you're good at. And you're going out into the marketplace, you're looking for 2 or 3 businesses, you're doing the research, you're finding, wow, this salon is really good, with men's cutting. I think I could add to that salon, become an asset. Then you put together your portfolio of men's. And that portfolio of men's is what you're going to present. Oh, got a phone call coming in. Hey, John, can you call this number back? 708 708 478. One second here. It's somebody from here. 708 478 6907. They just called me, and just see what's going on with them. All right, let's see where we're at here. Yeah, somebody just called in. So you see what happens? You're on a live stream, and somebody calls in, then you gotta hold on. Seven 478 6907.
It's Poncho School or something. It just came.
Which one?
Tinley Park.
Oh, they left me a voicemail. See that? We're getting. This is live. You guys are watching. If you're watching this, you're seeing.
I should ask for.
Probably Lupe.
Lupe?
Yeah. So if you guys are watching the broadcast, we're live here. We're in the middle of a blizzard, and our shows, our presentations are getting canceled because of the weather. So we're doing a live stream recording.
Hi, my name is Jenna, and I'm supposed to be with you guys for the artist, and just missed your call. We figured, you told me to give you a call back.
All right. So yeah. So we're.
Well, let me. He's on another call right now, so let me. Look here for a minute. I'll be back.
We're back, and we're back, and we're back. All right.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah. So we just had a little.
Okay, cool. All right, let me call you back. All right, bye. Thanks.
And you have the schedule in your email, right? So you can see. You're trying to reschedule. You know what that means?
We're gonna be at Lombard. She said they're closed tonight, and then the day school they're losing students one by one. So because they're concerned about the weather.
Really? So I mean, should we?
But Friday we're gonna be in Lombard, so
I mean, we can go there. We can go there for today. I mean, we have a Ford Explorer with 4-wheel drive. I mean, they're not closing though, right?
no, but I mean, look at it.
So we got a blizzard coming down, guys. We've been doing some live streaming here. We're going to be with you for probably another 20, 30 minutes. All of we have 8 presentations, 5 schools, 4 days. Today's day 1. They're dropping like flies because of what's going on out here. This is real. So you guys are in my hotel room. This is the look. This is what's happening. I'll be right back, Google. This is what's happening. We got a blizzard. Traffic is starting to build up. People are trying to get out of here. I mean, you can see the sky is pretty cloudy. I mean, you can barely see that building back there in the distance because of the snow. It moved in last night, so there's a guy down there on a bike. That's called dedication. It's probably a Jimmy John's delivery guy. Those guys are animals. So that's what's happening, and we're here in the hotel room. We got the setup going on. We're live streaming. We have a Google Plus hanging out over here, and we're going through the program. So I'm gonna keep working through here. We're just getting into one of my favorite pieces, talking about the resume, the tired, boring resume of the past, and we're talking about how I would recreate it. What's that?
I'm gonna go bring myself because we're gonna have to check out some.
So here's the deal. You go on, you're going to do the research. So now you're graduating and you have a few places in mind that you're interested in going to work at. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to go on their website. I want you to find out about the company. You got to know. I've had so many people come in and sit down with me. They don't even know who the hell I am. They don't know anybody, any of my key players. They don't know anything about our company really, but they want a job. You know, so I want you to think about that. That's not a good look. That's not a professional. If you're going into a professional environment, you're going to get a job. I want you to come in there with information, having done your homework, do your research. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to go on the website. If you're on Google Plus right now, I'm going to show you a couple things. You're going to go on the website. You're going to find out who the key players are. All the information is going to be on the internet, whether you go on there. If they don't have a website, you go on their Facebook, you find out the Instagram, you find out the key players, you go on their Facebook and Instagram, and you're going to get some research. You're going to see, and you're going to pick a position. So one of the positions could be, you know that you are really proficient in men's hair. You go on, you look at this thing's, somebody's calling again. I got to put something, do not disturb.
What number is it?
It's 888. You're going to go on and you're going to look for something that you're really good in, that you want to focus on for them. Men's cutting, you see they're one of the hottest like men's styling salons, and you're really good. You think you can add to the value of it. You think your work could add and complement their work. You're going to then put together a whole presentation, and that entire presentation is going to be based on men's grooming that you do and that you want to add to and enhance their current portfolio of. That's your presentation. You're not going to come in there with a showing a bunch of things that aren't relevant. You got to be relevant, and you got to position yourself. When you position yourself, you're positioning yourself as more of an expert, and that's what I want you to think about. Let me get this live stream going back on here. Do not disturb, please. Yeah, we've been doing some streaming on our Periscope, but we're getting phone calls coming in, so I'm going to put this on Do Not Disturb. See if we can get this in here. Part 3. Where's the link? All right, and then the link for, let's see, the event page, YouTube. Okay. That's cool. Gotta wait for that. So you're gonna go on, you're gonna find out something, how you wanna position yourself. The next thing you're gonna do, put together a presentation. What's the presentation gonna look like? The presentation is gonna be of that work specifically. But I don't want you to just have pictures. I want you to have pictures, but I also want you to do some market analysis. You do some market analysis, you find out what other businesses are they competing against? Do they know who they're out, one or two? What you're doing now is you're really solidifying your position, and then you're going to come into think that we could, maybe capture this part of the market, or I could come in and I could position us to, notice the words that I'm using, we, us, as if you're already a part, you've already been hired, you're already a part of the team. You come at it with this approach, I'm going to tell you, here's what's going to happen. You won't be able to leave the meeting or the interview without getting an offer. That's going to be the side effect. Mark my words, it's already happened to people. I've coached people for a few minutes and they've gone and got offers and positions offered to them like on the spot, like within an hour. But you have to position yourself. You don't want to come in there with the rear view mirror. Oh, this is what I did, and these are all the things that I did. Okay, because me as a business owner, I'm not betting on what you did. I'm betting on what you're going to do. I'm betting on the future of you, because you have to understand what all of the owners are seeing, and a lot of them may not know how to articulate it. They may not know how to say it, but what they're seeing when you walk in the door, new hire, when you walk in the door, new graduate, they're seeing liability written across your forehead. This person is going to cost me. This person is going to cost X dollars. This person is going to sit on my payroll. This person is going to drain my revenue stream, and they're not going to produce anything. That's what we are thinking. I'm just being honest and letting you know that. So when you come in and you take that position and you shift it, every other person that comes in and they think liability, 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 and then you come in with this new way of thinking and this new approach, and you're actually pitching ideas instead of them saying liability, 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 liability. Guess what? They hit you, asset. Asset. Did you hear me? Asset. That's what they need to see. That's what you need to position yourself as. That's why I love this particular chapter, because I'm going to address those things. So you did the research, you positioned yourself, you came in, you presented it. Now you're an asset. Now, if it wasn't something that you thought that was going to complement, the work that they're doing, maybe it's something where there's a big missing opportunity, but you have to do some market research. You have to know the 2 or 3 salons that are within a 5-mile radius of them. I would go as far, this is the thing I want you to think about. This is your career. Okay, this isn't a toy, this isn't a job, this isn't a, just a thing. It's not a hobby, this is your career. And if you think about finding the salon, and as you're going through and doing the research, guess what? You're also vetting that salon. So when you go and look at their website, you go and look at their Instagram, you may be like, you know what? I thought I wanted to work at the salon, but actually I don't. So you might even discover along that process salons that you could eliminate, or businesses or companies that you don't want to work with as well. But when you find the 2 or 3, and I suggest 3, and you're going to build separate presentations for each one, and you're going to go in and position yourself as an asset versus a liability, you, my friends, will not only get hired, you will be inspiring to that owner. They'll finally say it's a breath of fresh air that just walked in the door, not a liability, not somebody that's going to sit on my payroll and suck it up. So that's what I want you to be thinking about. And you got to learn some of these skills. I never learned this in school. I came in with the same tired resume that you probably have sitting in your folder somewhere right now. I had the same one. And that's why I don't read them. They're boring. And if you've seen one portfolio, you've seen them all. They're organized. Maybe you have them long hair, short hair, medium hair, and red, blonde, and brown. It's all the same stuff. And so what's going to make you different? So that's one of my all-time favorite chapters of the book. So my Periscope stream is it's weak right now. I can't even get on. It says, sorry, we've encountered a problem. I might go into one more before I get you guys out of here. Let's see, one of my other favorites. So we'll talk a little bit about the networking thing, because I know I got stylists, right now in my own company. I mean, they're scared to death. They're not out there networking themselves. And what is the fear? What does the word mean? What does the word fear mean? False, F, evidence, E, A, appearing, R, real. False, evidence, appearing, real. Fear. So what is it? Let's talk about that. Because the networking, you find yourself, you might work in a salon where their whole intention is just to build your entire business for you and just feed you person after person after person after person. But I'm telling you that there's not a lot, if any, of those salons out there. Every company has a responsibility for generating revenue. New revenue is important. So that's something that you have to be thinking about. How am I going to generate new revenue for this company? And this company, what I'm talking about right now, this company is you. This company is you. You are the company. Just because you work in a business, don't think that you're not a business, because you're just as much as a business. You're just as much as a business as the business that you're working in. So I want you to be thinking, okay, how am I going to generate revenue? Again, new revenue. It's going to come down to you meeting people, you going out and talking to people, you going out and networking yourself, you going out and pitching yourself to people. And most of the people that you're going to be pitching yourself to are going to be complete strangers. They're going to be people you've never met before, but it's an essential business building tool. You have to do it. And it's not something you're going to feel comfortable doing. So I want to give you a couple tools that you can use when you're out there doing this. Now, it starts with your name, right? Get your name down. Hopefully you got it down. But for some people, honestly, they do. They get so nervous and they get so, their jitters start going so hard when they have to do this. They forget their own name, but hopefully you got that down. Now, when you introduce yourself to somebody, I'm going to give you a few steps that you're going to be able to use that are going to be simple. This is like a 30-second interaction. This isn't a long, drawn-out procedure. This is like a 30-second interaction, and you're going to be able to use it, do it. Probably even after this recording, you'll already be live. You'll already be ready to do this. Some people refer to it in the business world is referred to sometimes as an elevator pitch. That's what it's referred to sometimes. So let's take a look at it. I like to call it the perfect pitch because it's concise, it's tight, it's easy to learn, easy to do. And I'll share this if you're on Google Plus. I will share a screen with you guys so you can take a look at what we're looking at here. Here we go. All right. So you can see the perfect pitch. Ideally, it's designed to be done in 20 to 30 seconds. 20 to 30 seconds. So when you're building your business, having your pitch down is critical. A perfect pitch contains 4 key elements. I'm going to go over the 4 and then we're going to go through the 4. Number 1, introduce yourself by name and get your prospect's name. Number 2, why did you stop them? Question mark. To give them a compliment, ask a question, etc. Number 3, qualify yourself. Number 4, give your business card and call to action. Give your business card and call to action. All right, so let's do the first one. Number 1, introduce yourself by name and get your prospect's name. You got to know your name. You got to know your name. So here's an example that I'm using when I'm doing this. So hello, my name is Sunny. What's your name? Boom. Why do you want to get their name? Getting their name is going to help you personalize your pitch. Getting their name will help you personalize your pitch. And once you have their name, you can start using their name. So how many times do you want to use their name? Try to use it at least 3 times during the encounter. 3 times during the encounter. It makes it personal. It makes them almost a friend instantly. So you want to try to use it at least 3 times. Number 2, why did you stop them? So you have to have a reason why. So whether you stop them because you wanted to give them a compliment, you stopped them because you wanted to ask them where they got something, you stopped them because you had to, you couldn't let them go by without you saying something. But why did you stop them? You need to know why. So here's some examples. I just wanted to say, okay, say their name is Kim or whatever. I just wanted to say, Kim, I love your necklace. I love your shoes. I love your purse. I love your hair. I love your whatever you are complimenting. So that's a compliment. Why? Another one is, I just wanted to say, Kim, I really like your boom. Another one is, I'm just curious, Kim, do you blank? So what could that be? It could be, do you live around here? It could be, do you have a hairstylist? Do you, whatever it is you want to know. I'm just curious. And then the last one, the last example is just an easy, Kim, are you from around here? So it's just an intro. This is a why you stopped them. You introduce yourself, you got their name, now you use their name, why you stopped them. The next step is step number 3. So step number 3, you want to qualify yourself. So when you're qualifying yourself, what does qualifying yourself look like? Qualifying yourself is going to be you giving, and here's an example. So you're going to say, Kim, we'll stick with Kim, we're still talking to Kim. I'm a stylist in the area and I specialize in blank, fill in the blank. Maybe she has long hair, maybe she has red hair, maybe she has blonde hair, maybe she has no hair. What do you specialize in? I specialize, I'm a wig maker. You have no hair. I specialize in long hair. She has long hair. Another example, Kim, I'm a stylist in the area and I'm looking for, identify something that they have that you want to focus on. So I'm looking for somebody that's, interested in, a long hair styling. Maybe you want to use her as a model. One of the things you could think about is, what if you wanted to do like a shampoo blow dry on somebody? And you were like, I'm looking for somebody who's interested in getting a complimentary shampoo blow dry to come and take a visit and see what our salon is all about. Another example, and this was not Kim. We're now moving into, this is a guy, we'll say his name's Ken. He's a young professional. Maybe you're going to be focused on men's grooming. So you're like, hey, Ken, I specialize in men's grooming. You got a great look. I'd love to invite you into the salon. So you want to identify that as you qualify yourself, that area or that niche or that what you're looking for in step 3 when you qualify yourself. And the step 4 told you this was easy. Give your business card and a call to action. CTA, call to action. Here's my business card, Kim. Give me a call the next time you're in need of a hairstylist. Here's my business card, Ken. Keep me in mind if you're in the area. Here's my business card, Kim. I'd love to work with you sometime. Give me a call. And now I'm going to give you a bonus. This is real time. This is not in the book. The bonus is if you're meeting somebody and you're giving them the qualification, they're interested, and they're like, yeah, I'd love to give you a complimentary shampoo blow dry. And they're like, yeah, that sounds great. And you're like, awesome. Well, here's what we'll do. I'll get your contact information. I'll reach out to you and check my schedule, and you can check your schedule, and we'll set something up. And they're like, okay, great. At this point, what do? At this point, you pull out your phone if you don't already have it in your hand. You open up the contact book, the phone book. You add new contact. You put their first name. You give them the phone. You let them put in their number. They might put in their email. I mean, I did this the other day. They put in their phone number, their email, first, last name, even the company. They filled it all out for me. They give it back to you. You save it, and then you say, cool, I'm going to send you a text message right now so you have my contact info. And you do that while you're in the conversation. You don't leave the conversation. You do that right there in the conversation before. So that's a bonus. I guess you could say that would be a step 4 part 2 or a step 5. And then you exit the encounter. And the key thing with this, guys, is you got to practice your pitch. You want to practice this with a partner until you have it down tight. Role playing, record yourself, watch a video, watch this video. Great way for perfecting the pitch. And you got to remember, stay ready. You don't have to get ready. You don't have to freak out. Meaning you have business cards with you. They're ready to go. You have your pitch down. You identified something in the person that you saw before you approached them. If they end up being, this happened to me. There was somebody that was right behind me. Now, I'm not standing looking behind me, but I happen to look over to the side, where all the magazines are, all of the guess who's cheating on who section. And I looked, and at the corner of my eye, I saw a prospect, qualified. I know the kind of people I'm looking for, young professionals, male, female. Great in my salon or in my chair. So when I see a qualified prospect, boom, right behind me. I turn. We're in the express lane. So how much time do we have? Not a lot of time. So I turn, I see this person. I'm like, hey. I'm like, cool. They had a bottle of wine. So that's what I looked at. That was what I identified with. I'm like, oh, is that one of your favorite wines? Is that good? I've never had that before. Oh, that's cool. Oh yeah. My name's Sunny, by the way. What's your name? She says, whatever, Jen. I'm like, awesome, Jen. I was like, this your local Publix? Right? Because we're at the grocery store. Remember, we're in express lane. I got like 3 items. The lady's almost done ringing me out at this moment. She's like, yeah, I just come here because it's right, right by my place. I'm like, awesome. Well, I have a salon right down the road. I'd love to have you come in sometime. Here's my card. She said, thanks. Where are you guys at? Right down the road from the store. I'd love to have you come in sometime. And by this time, the lady's already handed my receipt to me. I did it all in that, and then I exited the encounter. Right? So that's one example. Another time, I was in a Starbucks. Same thing, waiting for my qualified prospect, sitting right there. Old makeup on. I identified it. I saw it. I said, guess what? Qualified prospect. Go into my pitch. Hey, how's it going? My name's Sunny. What's your name? She tells me her name. I say, awesome. I just had to say, I love that little gold makeup you got on. Are you a makeup artist? She said, no. I was like, well, it looks really cool. I said, I'm a hairstylist. I'm into fashion and makeup and things like that. Qualify myself. I said, we actually just opened a salon right down the road, and I'd love to invite you in sometime for a shampoo blow dry. She said, that sounds great. I'm like, great. Guess what I did next? I went to the bonus. I said, awesome. I'll grab your contact info and we'll set something up. Casual, guys. Come on, guys. Casual. Just, it doesn't come off casual when you don't practice it, though. So that's the big thing. Got the number. Long story short, she ends up at the salon. So this is an essential building skill that you're going to need to have. Networking, like the chapter says, it's do or die. Networking, do or die. So with that, those are two of my favorite chapters. And the biggest thing I want to kind of leave you guys with as we're wrapping up here, or we may be back on in a little bit. We're doing another stream. We're just trying to figure out our situation, if we're going to have people dropping off like flies. We might have to keep on streaming. But the biggest thing I want you to remember is that this is your career. This is your career. It's not my career. It's not whatever company you're working with. They designed the company, but they're not in charge of your career. This is your career. Take control of your career. That's the big thing. You got to learn that you have to be proactive in most things. No one's taking you by the hand. No one's taking you by the hand and gonna walk you to the promised land. YFYI, it's your first year in, not MFYI, not TFYI. It's not their first year in. It's not my first year in. It's YFYI, your first year in. And our goal with what we're doing with the YFYI project and why we're so passionate about it is because we know that people are out there, they made this commitment, they went through, they got the basic skills. They may have got the artistic part of it, but there's a business behind this. And I don't want artists, and I think the beauty industry is the best industry in the world. I mean, think about what we do for a living. We make people look and feel better inside and out. So why shouldn't we be entitled to levels of success just like any other professional would be? And the only difference between, them and us is just about training, about information, and about looking at it as a business. So I'm here to inject the business of building a career path into the actual building a career path. Because there is art, it's beautiful, we do it. I mean, we'll study a haircut for 10 hours, but not know how to read a financial statement. We'll study a haircut, a color technique for 3 days, but not have a pitch together to introduce ourselves to a new customer and bring business into a company. So these are the skills that I'm focused on seeding the entire foundation with, because ultimately the foundation of the beauty industry, we need to make sure it's strong so the beauty industry stays strong. And so we can keep growing the industry. And in 12 to 18 months, you're going to arrive. The question is, my friends, where are you going to arrive? So I want you to be thinking about that. And if you haven't gotten your copy of YFYI, do yourself a good job, do yourself a good service. Hop over at yourfirstyearin.com and grab yourself a copy. I will sign it and mail it to you personally. Yourfirstyearin.com. So get over there, grab yourself a copy. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to your career. The feedback, the response, the overwhelming reception we had when we got to meet thousands of people a couple of weeks ago at our launch. It's been unbelievable. It's been incredible. And yeah, we're here in Chicago. There's a blizzard going on, but we're going to work on getting into all of these schools if they are open. And we'll be doing some live presentations. You'll probably see some streaming of that later. But for now, we're going to sign off. We're going to share this video, share the link, and hopefully you're going to share your success story with us as you put these tools and you put these lessons into action. So it's YFYI, your first year in the beauty industry, how to not just survive, but thrive in the business of beauty. I'm Sunny D. Thanks for being here today. Go to yourfirstyearin.com. You can get all the info there. And I look forward to seeing you in a city real soon, hopefully that's not covered with snow. Take care.